I'm just keeping it real now. Give them something they feel now. Trying not to be stressed out. Kareem, tell them what it's all about. I'm just keeping it real now. Give them something they feel now. Trying not to be stressed out. Kareem, tell them what it's all about. Cycles of life is all around. For cycles of life is all around. For cycles of life is all around. All around. All around. I'm just keeping it real now. Give them something they feel now. Give them something they heal now. Tell them what it's all about. I'm just keeping it real. Give them something they feel. If you're tired of being stressed out and depressed about it, we gon' let you know. We gon' let you know. I'm just keeping it real. Give them something they give them something they give them.
Yo, back at you with another episode coming at you from ChooseYourRelationships.com. Offer of Love Can't Wait, which can be found on Amazon.com. What's going on out in these streets? Smash the like button, share the video, and all that good stuff, man. It's been a long day, you know, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. Hold up. Oh, that shit was making a little bit too much noise for me. So yeah, smash the like button, share the video. You know, so what's going on out in these streets? What's going on out in the streets of the ATL? What's going on in the streets of the ATL? Hey, I'm not there no more. Shit. I'm happy I'm not there no more. I'm happy to be in North Carolina. The hell with that. You can have that. You know? But hey, it's a nice place to visit, but I just can't live there no more. You know what I'm saying? Too many degenerates, weirdos, and freaks there for me. Like, for real. What's up? What's up? Oh.
It's birthday, so.
Oh.
And he still agreed to do this.
Too many weirdos. Hey, yo.
Can you hear us?
No, it's low. The volume's low.
What about now? Now?
Oh, same.
How's that?
How about now?
It's good now. It's good now.
Okay, then now we can hardly hear you.
This way,
Yeah. How about now?
Perfect.
Yes, now we can hardly hear him.
Yeah, I'd rather do it that problem.
Okay.
Yeah, y'all can. I'm coming in low.
Yeah. We had speakers plugged in. So it was amplified, but then you couldn't hear us.
Hmm.
You want to try just plugging it in again quickly? Because it was fine today. It wasn't the same configuration today. We're gonna try again and see if it. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Now we're better.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So
Okay.
now we're both good.
We're good.
So how y'all doing?
You've touched it. Now I can't hear him. Rob's touched something. Now I can hear you. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Yeah. How y'all doing?
We're good. How are
Pretty
you?
good. How about yourself?
Good. Yeah. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm.
He said, mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He said, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thanks for popping in. I see that you've caught a couple of our shows.
Yeah. Oh, you be paying attention.
Yeah, I do pay attention. I pay
Okay. Yeah, I pop in and pop out, you know.
We appreciate it. It helps our algorithm, so we'll take it.
Yeah, y'all have some good topics.
We try. It's our life.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we are talking about our life.
Yeah.
I think we're good. Now we can.
Hey, you know, that takes courage.
Yeah, we don't share everything.
Yeah.
But again,
No, not everything, but you know, some people they're not telling nothing.
but we can't say we're trying to change the conversation around Black relationships and then keep our mouth closed about our Black relationship. And that was our thing, right? Like, we have to give some vulnerability to people so that they can open up. And I think that helps because as we open up, people slowly go, oh, okay, they're sharing, let us share as well. And we've had some people share quite a number of things that we were surprised they would even share. Under their actual profile, and I was like, oh wow, because people can read and have that interaction back and forth, but it's really been nice. I don't know if we should change is it better if we change the orientation to match your orientation?
No, you're good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hey, how much is too much though?
I was gonna say something and it would be too much.
Oh.
Let's just say.
But again, I think when it's going to cause a problematic conversation off camera.
Okay.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, I don't think either one of us have crossed. Now, there's times, especially if you pay attention, where you can see that our energy might not be as great at the start of the show, but that's what we say we do it. It's like couples therapy every Thursday night.
Yeah.
You know? So we get out there and we talk about our stuff, and usually we might come in and again, it's usually she's mad at me. Let's just be.
No, the reason why I asked that because there's some people I see. They're saying things I'd be like, I would never say that. No.
You say the same thing. Sometimes we're like,
whoa, like for us, like a Casey DJ envy thing.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
Because I was groomed that you protect the reputation of your husband or your fiance, or like you protect your man. And so protecting his reputation is very important, especially when he's the breadwinner, because things that you leak out about your own family, people can then end up using it against him. So when we both saw that, we were like, oh, I was like, oh my God, girl, that was not. And then to watch the interviewer laugh and kind of roll her head back, I said, I would never put myself in a position where I'm embarrassing him. Yeah. It doesn't matter what's going on between us. I don't even care if it's true. It was very much true that she probably didn't have an orgasm for 10 years. The rest of us didn't need to know that. Yeah. And then, next thing you know, you got Rick Ross splashing on the Breakfast Club the next week. And it's not a good look. Like I was like, yeah, Rose had too much fun with that. Like, and that's the point. She left him vulnerable. Now guests can joke at him. It's gonna be he's gonna be a meme for a little while. And the last person you expect to make you a meme is your woman, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Envy and what's the name? I think they're strategically doing this though. I don't think.
Well, they got a book or something, right?
Yeah.
talked about it in the book. And even then, like, I have a book that's going to be coming out with the same title of the show. And I will run everything by him before it ever gets released. And I know that if there's people like, babe, no, like, why are we doing that? And I'll take it out. There isn't a question. If even if I think, you know what, no, that's information that will help people. If it makes him feel a certain kind of way, his opinion matters more than how many books we sell or how salacious it is or whatever the case might be, right? And so I think, again, listen, press is press and we're talking about them and maybe that's what matters. But to me, they have children. They're children who have to deal with the fact that their parents are being talked about. That there's just a lot that for me, yeah, it's a no. It's a no.
Yeah. I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
Again, but it's also, again, I think she has her own stuff that she's dealing with because we've heard about his infidelity. And I think that hasn't been resolved and it was her opportunity to jab. And like, you weren't even giving me an orgasm for 10 years. So probably what were you doing out there with, it was that. It gave me that type, even though she was sweet about it and she did the whole, I didn't raise my voice. I was being performative. I could still see as a woman what was going on in that mind of hers. And to me, it was like, girl, you guys need some probably therapy. Like it's no.
Oh yeah. Plus,
no, go ahead.
Plus, she was talking about how she got jumped a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I didn't even watch
that's an older story. Yeah.
She got jumped by
two girls.
Yeah.
Like his side chicks?
Yeah.
Here's my thing.
And one of them tried to cut her face, something like that. Like it was like
I think she did get a face cut.
Yeah, it could be.
When they were younger?
Yeah, when they were younger. And I think that's the thing, it's some low key like she's still making him pay for embarrassing her earlier.
Yeah.
And now he's just kind of passively aggressively catching it here and there because he probably that was a good idea, again, happy wife, happy life, dope. And then until Rick Ross came on, and then I'm sure he felt terrible.
Oh yeah, Rick Ross kind of kept digging in it.
He said the splash.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's Rick Ross. Look at my Rick Ross. Like, I didn't need all of that. I was like, I learned a lot more about Rick Ross than I ever cared to learn. However, I think, Angela Yee is quite the little orchestrator. She's hilarious to me because she's the one that asked the question. And I think she clearly knew why she asked the question because I think as a woman, we understood that there was a moment for Gia that she could have protected her husband and she didn't. And at this point, if your wife's not going to protect you, envy your fair game.
Yeah.
Because that's the one person, your mama and your woman, right? I think men think that those two women are the women who are battling from them for most of the time. Sometimes their children don't even do it. Dad, you're a da-da-da-da-da. But your woman and your mama, I think most men think that they're going to protect. And if the woman, your woman, isn't going to protect you, you're fair game. And I think that's what it says. I don't know, speaking as a man, isn't that what it says? Like,
yeah, I think you're very accurate. Like the last two people you expect to take shots from are your mom and your woman. Like you kind of expect them to hold you down above everyone else, above the court of public opinion per se. So when you're in a situation, and again, she doesn't find me looking bad amusing.
I do not find him looking bad amusing.
She actually gets very agitated if she feels I'm in a situation that doesn't make me look good. So it's like, I appreciate that. I have the opposite sense from her. It's like, she would never put me in a situation that look a fool, because she doesn't like that. She's because it doesn't look good to her. But I do think that there's a school of thought that, by dressing your man down and by making him, showing that he's willing to take it, that brings you, that's a more powerful queen, I guess. I don't know.
No, but I think it's because we also believe in gender roles, right? Like we have a relationship that's very distinct gender roles. I think if you don't believe in gender roles and you believe in partnership and you have boss bee energy and all of that stuff, that may not matter but I grew up in a space where gender roles were a thing. I was actually, speaking to my stepmother about it yesterday. And, in my situation, I am the product of an affair. And my stepmother raised me. So my father told my biological mother, drop off my baby. And my mother dropped me off to my grandmother. My stepmother, the woman he cheated on, was responsible for now raising me with my sisters and my cousin. And I had after 40 something years, we got into a little bit of it. And I said to her, you loved me by choice. And that's very different than my mother who gave birth to me, who loved me because she's my mother. You loved me by choice because you didn't have to. You could have turned around and said, don't bring this child here. And my stepmother said, I would never do that. I married your father. And there were people who looked at her like she was a fool. But again, 42 years later, I still have a relationship with her. And quite frank, I have a better relationship with her than I do with my biological mother. And, I tell that story to say, like, my upbringing was gender roles. Like, for a lot of women now today, they're like, leave that man and da-da-da, like, right there. But, like, they eventually did end up getting divorced when we got older, as older adults. But she stuck it out in the hardest of times. And so, I look at my stepmother as one of the strongest women I know. And she's very big on, as a woman, this is what you do to support your man. As a man, he's a leader and the provider. I had a father who was, the reality is my father couldn't have pulled that shit if he wasn't a provider. And I think that's part of it. My daddy, I grew up in Jamaica. I was born in Jamaica. My daddy was a huge provider. He provided for our home and several other homes. So, we grew up in a well-to-do family, right? My father's side of the family had money. So he had means to take care of that. And, people could say that's why my stepmother stayed. No, she loved my father, but she also took her role as his wife very seriously. And to this day, at 42, my stepmother, and I call her mama, she's never said a disparaging word about my father. Not a word. Like, not one single bad. Your father is this. Even moments where I've gotten upset at him, it's still, that's your father. I know you love your father. And I never said anything bad. I think my father walks on water. But when you grow up in a space where you understand that that's part of your history, there is no way my family would even accept from me if I did that out on these streets. My family would be upset at me. Like, how dare you, like, literally put your protector and provider out there so you've weakened it? Because that's what that does. But anyways, I could go on.
Right, but that's what a lot of people are missing today. They don't have nobody to check them if they get out of pocket.
Yeah, basically.
Takes a community.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are missing that. And a lot of people would say, well, if he didn't have the money, she would have left a long time ago. I'm like, well, it can't be about the money all the time.
It cannot. And I think that's where people get misused, right? Like, there is value to relationships, whether we like it or not. And that's how we look at our relationship. Do I add value to him? Does he add value to me? Because if we didn't, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Right? Love is not sustainable over time. Like, let's call it what it is. Money isn't enough. I've dated men with money. Trust me, it isn't enough to go. I like Michael. Michael said, okay, so I got to go to Jamaica. Yes, you do, Michael. You go. And I also grew up in Toronto. So if you need another place to go, Toronto, Canada is where it's at. He imported me. That's what I tell people all the time.
Yep.
I'm an import.
And I always say, look, when people come around me, things usually get better for them. It's like, what do you want me to do? The same way they came in, they were different when they left. If they did leave, a lot of guys be like, well, she wasn't like this, she, I'm like, well, what do you want her to be worse? I don't know. I don't understand what's the big deal.
I don't want to say I understand, because I think, again, everybody's been through their stuff, you know, but you're absolutely 100% right. Like, I think we all, when we look back, we might have stuck it out a little bit more in a situation than we have. But yeah, there's a kind of like a terminal point where it's like, what could possibly be keeping you in a situation? And I think, you know, sometimes people just, the fear of change even overpowers being in a bad relationship. You know what I mean? And I think that's a real thing sometimes when you see that kind of dynamic. Like you said, he's like, well, you know, she wasn't always like this. Like, hopefully, like, I don't know, maybe she gets struck by lightning and start acting right again or something like that. But it usually, like, that's why we the no disrespect rule, because once the line of disrespect is crossed, it's hard to push the person back over that line. And yeah, so once you start feeling that way in a relationship, it probably is a good time to check out. And it ain't always gotta, like, me personally, I don't believe all breakups gotta be like bad and you know, it don't got. Sometimes it's just like, you know, this was nice, but
this is where it ends.
We started here and now we're here, so that's probably a good sign too. You know,
to go our separate ways.
Go our separate ways, and you know, I don't think it has. If you're dating with intention and properly, like, you don't gotta go through all that drama and all that rigmarole and stuff. It's like,
but that's a good point, Rob. People are not dating with intentions.
They just falling into stuff. Yeah.
I wish I could roll my eyes. Listen, I just, you know, we're 42 and Rob turns 46 today, right? Like, we're grown folks. I have a whole adult child, right? I have a 20-year-old daughter. I think if you're getting to the point where you're over 35 plus and you are not dating with intention, then you take what you get and you don't complain. That's really my thing, because I think, you know, you have to be serious in life. I mean, nobody goes into a job search and just says, I'll see, right? Like, I'll see, I'm just going to apply for every job on the market, even if I don't have the qualifications and don't have the skills and don't have a chance in hell of getting this job. Let me just apply anyways. You may apply for a job that you think you can do, and you'll look at your resume and say, you know, I have enough of these skills to apply. But you're not going to apply for to be a partner at a law firm when you have a PhD in art, right? Like that, you're not going to get that job. You don't qualify. And I think people need to look at dating like that. Do you qualify for the type of person you want? And does the type of person who's approaching you qualify for you? And what does qualification look like? And if we're not approaching, then you take what you get. Like, we're just too old. It's one thing when you're out there in your 20s and you're kind of seeing and you're figuring out because you're figuring yourself out. But I think past 27 to 30, if you're still single and you're not dating with attention, then good luck. These streets are not for me. Like, I will pass. Like, these streets are rough.
And it does, like, when I watch a lot of these platforms, it seems like, in general, American women have turned the American dream into, you know, the American come up. Like, just some guy fall out of the sky and just rescue me from a life of bad decisions and just make everything all right.
Yeah, it's like,
put my little job on top of it too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I know a lot of people still in the clubs, man. They're in their 40s, 50s, still in the clubs, man.
Trying to find a partner.
I don't know. I just having a good time.
Yeah, I might have to be on mood watch after. Yeah, if that was something I was still looking forward to at this stage in my life, I would find that a bit problematic. No. That's like me trying to go and play in the Phoenix City Pro-Am. Like, it's race cars out there, and I'm more of a like old SUV type of situation. You know, like, no business being out there with 18-year-old, 23-year-old, 24-year-old.
I always said I never wanted to be the oldest guy in the club.
Oh man, yeah, no. Or the oldest woman. Like, woo, that's rude.
That's lame.
By definition, pretty bad, because it's like
Not when your intention is to go out there to do the same thing you were doing in your 20s. Yeah, we don't go out as often anymore. When we talk about going out, even just like New Year's Eve or something like that, we have no problem.
Yeah. That's cool.
Fun and all that stuff. But if your intentions are still what they were in your 20s, something's got to change, because again, these streets are hard. And what do you expect to find? And that's the thing. If you have no problems getting what you get, then that's fine. But I don't know if, especially these days, like when we were growing up, there wasn't the bottle service left. Now everything's about what section you're in. And listen, I have been, in some great sections in my come up years, but I'm not 42 going out there thinking some 20-something-year-old man's going to bring me into his section or any, no. Mm-mm.
Well, the whole thing is, you think that approach, if you've been looking for a partner in the club and you're now the oldest dude in the club, it ain't working, bro.
But maybe it's what Uncle Kevin says, right? Because Uncle Kevin said, there's lions and tigers, and maybe that man's just a tiger. And he just likes to go in and pray and get his little rock.
Yeah.
He's not looking for real commitment. Because if you're looking for real commitment, it is not in the clubs.
No.
Good point. Okay, here, and this, let me know if you agree with this or not, Lopez. Like, as an older guy, naturally there's a younger woman is going to catch your eye. She's young. But I think you don't really pursue younger women. You kind of see the younger woman that you catch her eye, and that's your situation. I would want to be the guy
who's out there,
like at the Arizona State game, like rubbing my palms together and like that. Like that's like the creepy old Uncle Chester kind of energy. And like, if you're only attracted to something.
You're 100% right. Yeah, if you're an older guy and you're running behind younger women, that's kind of creepy.
Just a little bit, right? Like, I get it, dibbling, dabbling,
I mean, if they're there, okay. But if you're like actively, like, you going after them.
I like 22-year-olds, like, bro.
And that's you're 22 to 25.
Yeah,
that's
your range.
Yeah.
It's like,
and God forbid they get 26. You're like, we're done. Like, you're
aged out.
Aged out.
Yeah, that's creepy, bro.
The youngest in the church. Mississippi in the house.
Oh my God.
Oh,
yeah. They said, "What's up, man? I ain't calling you that." Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I just, I don't know. I don't know, but I don't know how. A lot of people think that, I don't know, man. They think that if they don't got no money, it's like, I don't know. It's like they just can't make anything happen. I'm like, look, man.
In terms of relationships?
Yeah, a lot of guys think like this. They think because
I know how much you want to tell.
Because when I think when I was growing up, I used to hear guys say stuff like, "Man, once I get that money, man, I'm gonna sell her a dream, and I'm gonna have them all." And I said, "No, you're not gonna have them all. You might have some." And the ones that you get, what kind of girls ain't gonna be?
Yeah.
So
check this out. I always looked at, like, I'm an only child, so you got a certain confidence level when you're an only child. That's one of the things we have in common. It's like groups are exhausting for me sometimes. I'm like, y'all been fun, but I'm gonna go play by myself, So I've always been pretty assured of myself. So like coming up through, like, I think really back to like grade school is when you kind of see the difference between the guys that were developing the skills to be comfortable to talk to women and make them laugh, and whatever your bag was, guys were working on that because, again, ain't nobody got no money in grade school, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So how you gonna get your girls? You're gonna be funny, you're gonna be athletic, you're gonna be good looking, whatever you got going, you're gonna kind of try to You could be a flashy dresser, whatever it is, or just a charismatic talker. That's usually a doorway into 90% of women.
Exactly.
A conversationalist,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So, but I would hear that even back then, and it's like guys that have that mentality is, you know, I don't want to be offensive and be like, you know, but it's kind of a self issue of like, you know, a woman wouldn't find me engaging or attractive of myself, so I gotta build my finances up in order to get the type of woman that I'm attracted to. But that's not really always the case, man. Women are very, very, very attracted to confidence.
Very true.
Because confidence is a very good indicator of who's going to do well in life. You know,
Absolutely.
confident people tend to get more out of life because they feel like
They can walk into a room and accomplish anything.
Yeah.
And you know, because no one really hands out great fortune. That it doesn't work.
Oh no.
You,
Oh no. And
you get $1 million and you get $1 million. It's life ain't like that.
no.
You know, so boldness, yeah, there's and that's nature is the same way, you know, is the more aggressive hunters catch more prey than those that tend to sleep more.
And
do you
really want a woman who's just there for the money? Because once the money goes, so does she, right? She's on to the next one, right? And I think we have to be cognizant of people's intentions. Like, what is someone's true intentions? And I can understand how difficult it is for people like Rob front loaded a bit because again he left school, played ball, and so there are women who are hangers on for the fact that he played basketball, right? Yeah. And so you know he front loaded his life, and now we're kind of back ending his life, if that makes sense. So he had a really good like 20 to 30, and then he did some changes from 30 to like 40 something, and now you know 45 plus we're kind of back ending his life. And so I think one of the things that Rob had to learn early was to distinguish the women who were there for Robert and the women who were there for him being the ball player.
I like that.
Met a cashier at Walmart that was beautiful and had great poise and wanted to see her value. So instead of hitting her for ask what you, oh, I do like that.
Yeah, you know, like that was some of the advice I gave on the show for women is like, you really want to see what a man's intention is, you know, put him under intense pressure right off the gate. Like, you know, when am I going to see your house? You know, when am I going to meet your family? When am I? Because if he ain't got if he doesn't view you in that manner, he will.
Yeah, I say,
hey, girl, you're going too fast.
I say that with both men and women.
Yeah, both. That's why I like what he said, you know, rather than ask her what church she goes to.
Yeah.
That kind of indicates her mindset too. She like church. I don't go to no church.
I like to see. I like the before I get serious with any woman, I would like to see how she is when she's angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or stress.
Well, I like that you don't really know someone until you don't give them something they want from you.
Oh yeah.
They are.
Or when you just have nothing to give.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Or when you have nothing to give.
Because
there's men who have very good intentions, but at a point in their life, they don't have anything to give. Because again, we all go through things. And I think the reality of today's world, I'm sad for what my children are going to grow up into, because with this new world of get the bag and everybody's getting the bag and everybody's a boss this and a boss that, and it's all about the bag, but nobody cares about characteristics and the fundamental things that make us good human beings, right? Like, I want my child to be with a good person. Like, is this a good person? Is this a good person for you? Is this person going to value you? Are you going to value them? Like, you know, if my daughter were to introduce me to her boyfriend and then takes me to the side and be like, Mom, you know what? I like him because he's got money and he's got this and he's, I'd be like, oh, because that ain't it, right? Like, I couldn't co-sign that idea that that's why Trayan was dating this fundamentally, didn't really give two shits about it, but he had X, Y, and Z. And so that's because I'd be like, first of all, I failed as a mother. Like, that would be my number one thing. Like, damn, Lord, forgive me, on my knees crying. Like, I clearly failed as a mother. And it's just not, that's just not the foundation I want her to set with anybody.
Here's the thing in my observation. Like, say in the last 20, 30 years, the average person, their valuation of what money means in their life has shot through the roof. But the average average person's understanding of money has remained in the exact same spot. If it not regressed, because we have so many different forms of commerce and there's crypto and digital and there's all these other money things shaken down, because you see it on these platforms sometimes. Like, I like to saying that 20, 30 years ago, many of these women talking about, I want someone to drive a Rolls Royce, wouldn't even know
what a Rolls Royce looked like.
You wouldn't even know what it was.
You would not be in the vicinity of a Rolls Royce.
You wouldn't know what a Panamera is.
Or a
unless
McLaren.
You could see, it would look like a UFO to you driving by, but because she got into an argument with a woman on social media, not an argument, but a back and forth, and she literally said, I don't do research.
I don't do research.
And I was like, you should have just put a period on it.
Literally.
Right there.
Because so the backstory is they put something on, and as usual, it was a way to bash black men and black men abandoning their children and so forth and so on. And I said, we really need to stop with this BS narrative, because we have choices and we make decisions, and we have to be okay with the decisions that we've made. And so, I went on and on and on, and she basically said to me, spoken like a woman with no children. Now, if you my social media is open, and if you clicked on my picture on my page, there's a picture of my daughter, right? Like, I literally have a picture because my daughter's dance team had just gotten to Canada's Got Talent, and there's literally like a picture. And I was like, if you had just gone to that was a huge assumption. If you had gone to my page, you would have seen. She's like, well, I don't do research. And he was like, well, that's the problem.
I would just put that point, there's a quotation marks around that.
We now live in a world where it is too exhausting to do research, right? It's too exhausting to find out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a person, here's my thing. I believe in discernment. I believe in research. He calls me the work demon. Like, I'm the person, you give me a task and I am on it. Like, get it done. I will have notes, because I like to know as much information as possible. And my father brought me up in a way, he's like, baby girl, there's nothing better than asking questions, because it's the only way you get answers. And so, they say the Japanese say why 5 times. So I'm that kid who was always asking why, what, when, where, how. I just love that. And so for me, in a space where women are so caught up in their feelings, again, we have a show called Fuck Your Feelings, right? Like, people are so caught up in their feelings that logic is no longer something that they're willing to utilize, because their feelings are more, well, you've hurt my feelings, and so fuck research. Like, I'm just going to go off based on my feelings. And we can't live in a society based on feelings. I do not want to live in a society where people are basing decisions slowly on feelings.
And you also can't have an opinion on 2 + 2 = 4. That's not an opinion. That's a fact. So you don't necessarily have to agree with it. You can say, I don't agree with that, but you're wrong. There's no other way around it.
Yeah, it's an interesting world. And
Trump
again,
jacked us up, man. Like, Trump made it to, facts don't mean nothing anymore. The truth doesn't mean anything no more. Reality don't mean nothing no more. It's like, if you have a strong opinion, it doesn't matter if you're poorly educated on the situation or not. Just strongly opinionated, and you get the whang, 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 whang. And if you get enough people vibing with you on that situation, you get some of these crazy movements going on.
Well, again, I think social media has done a good job of skewing reality for people. And I'm not talking about the social media platforms themselves. It's the way people use social media, right? Like, there is a curation. You were talking, very funnily about how many people have pictures on social media in front of cars that don't belong to them, but they were walking through the parking lot and said, yo, snap me real quick in front of this car, and they did a pose, put on their right? And all of a sudden, people think that they have a McLaren, right? No, they do not have a McLaren. They have a Pontiac.
Well, if you hang out with someone with a McLaren, you don't even do that.
You don't even know what the McLaren was.
Took a picture.
Right? And I think and people want to believe that. People truly want to believe that the access to wealth and the gap between the rich and the poor has become like a tight, and it has not. It's actually widened. But people want to believe in their own mind and create this narrative for themselves. And what do? They take information that feeds into their narrative, and then they reject any information that doesn't. And that's the problem that I'm seeing right now when you even look, because again, I scour social media because just for the shows, we have 3 shows, right? I want to find out what are people talking about, what's happening. And I sometimes go into these comments and I'm like, I literally said to him, I'm exhausted, I'm scared for our world. Because some of these dialogue between people, I'm like, it's nonsensical. Like, it doesn't actually make sense. Like, when certain things that people support, certain things that people say, like when you follow the logic, you're like, but that doesn't make sense. Like, your logic doesn't make sense. But again, because they believe it and they've seen it on social media, it's true.
Yeah, the world done put us back in middle school.
Oh my God, that's so true.
I feel like I'm in 8th grade again, man. I swear.
Yeah, and the thing that I dislike about the media, the mainstream media, is they use the celebrities. They're the standard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't do that, man. You can't forget them celebrities, man. They playing a different game.
Well, here's the problem, and that's why, again, I think Uncle Kevin Samuels gets so much hate, because he will say, I'm not talking about the media. I'm not talking about the celebrity and the athletes and the entertainers. They don't matter. They're living a different life. Their reality isn't your reality. And so to hear that, people, again, want to believe that reality because, again, it feeds into their narrative. They don't understand that making $100,000 a year isn't something that you can do necessarily at 30 or 25. They want to believe because social media has said that this person has done that. They don't realize, oh my God, they're scamming. They're doing all of these different things that have nothing to do with working hard to make it to that. Like, I don't know if hard work is valued as much.
I agree. I don't think it is.
Is asking what you bring to the table really wrong? No. No. And the moment a woman says the table, tell her to leave your table.
Yeah.
Listen, Michael, if you ask a woman that and she says, I bring the entire table, literally tell her to leave your table. That's not a woman who's in reality.
Yeah, we had a show titled a couple weeks ago. If you don't need me, I don't want you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Because and that's the funny thing, if you already have it all, right? Then why do you need someone else? Because you're proclaiming to the world, I already have it all. So somebody if I saw Rob as an accessory to my life, how would that work? That means that the value, I don't have the same value for him because he's an accessory. As someone who can walk in to a store and buy a Birkin bag and not blink an eye and check their account just to make sure that they still got money in there, won't value it as the same as the person who had to work a year or two, saved up, and went in and bought it purposely. Not just because they were walking by and it caught their eye. There's a certain value that they have to it, right? And I think that's the thing. It's like, how much value are you bringing to this person? How much value do they bring to you? So
yeah, I can't imagine a person who's been focused on being independent for 2 or 3 decades is going to make a great partner.
Oh no.
So, I don't think that's going to be all that likely that they're just going to be embracing of how a relationship needs to work for it.
Well, Michael just made a good point. I just don't think they know what it means or what to say. Here's the thing about it. I think they absolutely know what it means. And I think what they want to say will come off as offensive. And so, and I'm speaking as a woman. Like, I call women out all the time, and I was blocked for hate speech because I was calling women out. God forbid, as a black woman, I call other black women out because I'm just supposed to.
They call you
all the time.
They call you a pick me, right?
Yes, I was called pick me, and I was like, girl, I'm already chosen. Because again, how dare I I literally defend black men and speak up for black men. I was raised by a black man. I have a black man beside me. I have a black brother. I have a black son. Like, yes, to me, what are you raising your sons to be if you can't even defend black men you don't know? Anyways, no story altogether. I think at the end of the day, the reality is women don't understand, Michael, that what a lot of men want is peace, and they're not peaceful. And so to say I bring peace is going to be a lie because they're difficult people to be around, right? And I think if women were honest with themselves, it's such an interesting space, because Rob and I were talking, and I was like, love is the most selfless thing you can give. Like, love is supposed to be selfish. Love is selfless, right? It's not supposed to be a selfish thing. I can't go into this relationship thinking, what is it in it for me? And I didn't go into this relationship thinking, what is in it for me?
That's the real, like how I would put it is, imagine you getting your dream job, you getting that announcement, you know, perfect job, high salary, everything you can imagine. Imagine running home telling your woman, and the first thing out of her mouth is, what about me? Like, that's what you want to avoid as
Hell no.
relationship. Like, yeah, screw all that happy for you stuff. You know what I mean? What about me? You know, and she understood that from the door, that her supporting me to be great allows me to do more for her, and allows me to support her ventures better and more wholeheartedly. It's kind of like where the sum is greater than, or the whole of the sum is greater than the parts. It's like you got 5 sticks independently, but when you put them together, somehow they add up to 6, you know. That's a healthy relationship. Y'all get more than you guys are out of each other. We're on the flip side, a bad toxic relationship, it's like y'all getting like 60-70% of what a relationship could be fulfilling to you, because it's just a bad situation for you. I think there's a lot of men and women out there that they would do much better in life being supported by the right person for them.
Oh yeah.
Busy being with the wrong person.
Well, here was something that I did that I think a lot of people would find interesting. I looked at both of our resumes, like our physical resumes. I made him send me his resume. He had told me about himself, and he had told me all the things. I said, you know what, send me a resume so that I can read your resume. We both used to be corporate recruiters. And at the time, I was COVID when we met, and I had just moved out of a position where I was the regional manager. And I looked at both of our resumes, and I said, if I had to bet on anybody, I would bet on you. And so therefore, I'm going to bet on you. If there's going to be someone who leads us to where we both want to go, it's not going to be me, because when I look at our resumes, yes, mine looks really nice. I had gotten a degree in psychology. I know Uncle Kevin Samuels hates that degree. I had gotten a degree in psychology. I had worked my way up the ranks. I had gotten to the point where I was one of those women who I wasn't quite at 6 figures, but I was pretty damn close, right? I looked at his resume. He had played ball professionally for 7.5 years overseas, right? He had a BA in economics and an MBA, and he'd spent over 10 years at a Fortune 100 company. Sold. Your resume looks better than mine, and if I were to put them out there to the workforce, you are going to net more than I do. And therefore, instead of putting my energy and splitting it, I took all of my energy and I put it into him. To me, that was thank you. It was a logical play. It wasn't based on feelings. And at the time, if we put up bank accounts, my bank account was bigger than his technically. But I understood long term. If we were to look long term, I might be capped here, but I understood with the choices that he had made and the person that he was. Again, when they were started breaking it down, I was like, there's not a lot of Robert Stevens in this world. There are not a lot of 6'9" former professional basketball players, especially playing overseas, who also have a degree in economics, who have an MBA with a focus on international finance. I was knocked down. I looked at that and said, when we look at our life 20 years, you're going to take us where we know, so I'm going to sit my ass down right here and support you. So then he became my job.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She really has, though. She's allowed me to make ridiculous progress in a relatively short period of time, and vice versa. That's why why we're even sitting here on this platform right now is her work and her motivations and kind of her intentions. But ultimately, we had a conversation, earlier on, and she gets it now, but she feels sometimes that she wants more than I do. And I'm like, your ambition could never exceed mine. If it did, we'd be in a bad situation, because we can't go further than I take us. and I can't go any further than you help me get. You know, we need each other. Like, I don't believe in independence in relationships. I don't even believe in independence in humans. All the women that talk all of that stuff about being independent, go have a baby by yourself. Go deliver a baby by yourself and see how that's gonna work out for you. You don't need nobody. You need somebody help to help that baby when he start crying. And literally, you look it up, we're one of the few species in the natural order who cannot give birth unassisted. Yeah. We need each other. That ain't no game. But they convinced us that we should be striving for independence. No, that's from the government, not from each other.
There you go, man. You know, a lot of women, man, don't understand. If the man don't have peace of mind, it's hard for him to do anything. It's gonna be a struggle. A lot of women don't understand that.
Because I don't think we value your mental health the same way we value our own. And I'm just going to be straight up, right? Unfortunately, the Black man is supposed to be the strong man. And therefore, you're supposed to carry everything and nothing is supposed to bother you. And nothing, like, I'm very sensitive to his mental health. I'm very sensitive to times that I understand he's going through things, and I try to do as much or be as much or not be anything. Like, there are times where he needs me close. Like, he needs to know I'm right there, but I'm not right here. Right. And I've always tried to be kind of right there, that when he's like, babe, I'm like, okay, like, I'm ready to, because you need me. And I think there's this idea that you don't feel pain and hurt, but what people don't understand is the rate of suicide went up for men and declined for women during COVID. Men were killing themselves at a higher rate. Yeah. Black men especially at a higher rate than women were. Right. But again, for women who don't do research, right, they're not going to understand the impacts. Why? Because during COVID, a lot of men were stripped of the primary role that they had, which was to protect and provide for their family. That was their identity that they had. And when they were no longer in a place to protect and provide, if they did not have the support of someone who got and understood what that meant, a lot of men were then turning around seriously and taking their life. And those are things that I take mental health very seriously, because I have my own mental health challenges. I've dealt with depression and different things, right? And, you know, having seen a therapist and making sure that, again, I was in the best place to be able to support a Black man. I was very specific about, like, I need to be able to be equipped to support a Black man. I fear for him every time he walks out this house without me, right? Like, together, it's, you know, we're an attractive couple, and he's the tall Black guy. Without me, he's the tall Black guy. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so for me, I understood that very much so, and I understand his experience in the world is very different than mine. And even though there's some benefits because he's a man, the drawback is he's a Black man. And I think if, again, we were to, again, a woman, we're supposed to be the nurturers, and we're supposed to protect our men in a different way, right? Like, I'm not the one that's gonna, you know, go through the burglar in the night if something happens, like, wake up and deal with that. But there's a different love. When he walks through that door, he's supposed to feel solace and safe and secure in his home. And that's what I'm supposed to do, because that's what helps his mental health. If he's dealing with crap at home, how can we expect these men to be going and make these six-figure earners if their mental health at home is crap, because all you tell him is that he's crap?
You know how many women calling men at work tripping on him?
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real thing.
Oh,
yeah.
We'll call him while he's at work.
And it's so funny, you usually call he calls me first the days he's in office. I'm like, he's at work. If there's something important, I'll screenshot him. Like, if we get a message, I'll be like, hey, by the way, blah, blah. But I don't call him because I don't want him to think that there's an issue. Like, he sees my number, it's all of a sudden, like, he's not going to focus on what he's doing. He's going to focus on, oh my gosh, she's calling me. So I'll send a message. I'll say, hey, just look out for this. And whenever he responds, but I'm not going to text you 10 million times, because I get, you're out there in the world, you're supposed to fall. How are you going to be successful and provide for me if you're always worried about what I'm doing? And I'm like, I just don't, it just, again, doesn't make logical sense to me. But again, that's just me.
Yeah, I've seen women come to the job and raise hell with the dude.
Oh, that's uncouth.
And I'm like, what the hell?
No, like again, my grandmother would
What
go
what
crazy. My
what are
mother,
we supposed to do with this? I don't even know what to do. I don't know.
Like that's
I believe a woman's supposed to always be ladylike, and I think there's a difference between being female, a woman, and a lady, right? And I grew up in a space where women were ladylike. It didn't matter what was going on in the home, you presented your best face wherever you went. And I've always said that to him. It doesn't matter what's going on with us. We're always going to present our best face. And again, we have a no disrespect rule in our relationship. We know that we can deal with a lot of things. We can deal with, people find it interesting that I say that cheating isn't a deal breaker to me, but disrespect is. And they're like, but isn't cheating disrespectful? I'm like, no, cheating is sex. Choosing is disrespectful. Him choosing another woman is disrespectful. Him cheating and having sex is sex. I understand the difference. But him choosing is disrespectful.
it's a different mindset.
Hey, you're a corn out here.
But I also credit, again, I was raised in a traditional way from a non-traditional start, right? Yeah. Like, and I watched my grandparents go through things in their marriage, and it was not perfect, but they were together and I knew he had a side chick. Everybody knew he had a side chick, but he came home to his wife, right? Like, and again, my father, again, side chick baby, came home to his wife and brought his baby, right? Like, I got that there were certain things that, that if your marriage has a strong foundation, yes, should men be cheating? That's debatable. But I think the question women have to ask is, why is he cheating?
And also, like, I look at it for real, my mentality, and again, it's different because men and women are built differently, We're not built really to design to share our woman with another man. That's a whole different situation.
Yeah.
From your woman sharing you with another woman.
Hey, but check this out.
Don't debate me on it. You know what I mean?
There's some guys.
I won't debate you, babe.
There's some guys that do.
No.
Yeah, more power to them. More power to them. But here's how I look at it. Like when I played the 4 in college, right? And if the coach recruited another 4, I was never worried about that. I was like, yeah, I need a backup. Like he wasn't coming to take no minutes from me. I know good and well because he can't take my minutes. If women were solid in their space and treat and lock their stuff down, like teams have more than one player.
Yeah.
If you're number 1, what does it matter if there's 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 behind you? You know what I mean? That's how most other cultures look at it. It's like, of course he has other situations going on, whatever, but none of those will ever replace me. I know this because I'm still in the home with the children. I'm not saying that that's to be like out there doing things without an understanding at home. That's very different. I don't support that. I don't support it. It's me and you, babe. It's only you. I love only you. And I'm out here nailing half a Phoenix. Like that's not cool. But I think that, look, there's always an understanding between a man and a woman that the rest of the world isn't privileged to.
Exactly. Exactly.
But again, on the same page is important. I don't know. I mean, we have a relationship contract, which we're renewing because things have changed in our life. So we have to renegotiate some things in the contract. But we haven't actually, people were just like, so you guys are almost like a business. And we were like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
You should run your life like that.
Thank you.
How do you merge with someone and not think about, like, Coca-Cola isn't going to merge with JCPenney.
No.
Where's the synergy? It doesn't make sense, right? They don't bring value to each other. So to me, it's like, how do you decide that the most important title he can give me is wife? There's nothing higher than he can give me than being his wife. So why would he choose a wife who's not going to help him progress? And when he, again, looks at the resume, there isn't value there. There's nothing that I can add. Like, oh, damn, she has literally no traits that can make me better, but I'm still going to choose her. That doesn't make any sense. So yes, we do run our relationship like a business, and happiness is probably number 5 on the list. He's not going to make me happy every day. I wasn't happy with him earlier, right? And I wasn't happy every day because
who the hell is happy every day anyway?
there are some people who think that that's what a relationship is going to be, and unfortunately, they're not prepared for when the bad times come. That is why, again, there were so many marriages that broke apart during COVID.
Yeah, if you're happy every day, schedule an MRI because you might have a brain tumor.
Happy every minute of the day? No way.
You might have a tumor. You might want to get an MRI.
But again, people want to believe that the idea of relationships are supposed to be happy, right? That they're supposed to be the good times. And the strength of our relationship has been because of our bad times and how we dealt with our bad times and how we got through the bad times. I think we learned a lot about ourselves individually and then collectively as a couple, because that's important so we can enjoy those good times. Now I only want one more for me, someone that I can watch sunset with, someone to be a couple. And you should.
Man,
that's cool.
You should get what you want.
Yeah, more than one woman is a lot to manage, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's, and again, that makes it even more complicated. I'm not recommending it.
We do not recommend it.
I recommend that you get what you want, fellas.
Yeah.
That's really what I'm recommending. Like, if she don't need you, why would you want her?
Yeah.
Like, if she's been her whole life, she's been I don't need no man woman. Like, I don't think she's going to be a very good woman.
I think, we're very clear and understand that we need each other, right? It's not a want. It isn't. We're not here out of want. We can want to be with other people, right? Like, we clearly understand the value that we bring to each other, and our life from getting together to where we are right now has been a testimony of the value and the need for each other, right?
Right. Don't burn the house down and sing a spot on. Some people will do that, though.
That's hilarious.
Oh, man.
I never heard that term. That's right.
Me.
That makes perfect sense, though. It's house everywhere and no house.
Fuck your feelings. That's based out of feelings when people be doing that.
Absolutely. And feelings don't get you very far.
Yeah.
I think relationships should be pragmatic. And listen, relationships were not meant to be romantic. I don't think my grandparents got together and my great-grandparents got together because it was our romantic love. I think it was a pragmatic moment and they got together because it would work.
No, I believe the foundation of romance is consistency.
Oof. Ooh, that.
I know my grandparents. I know they weren't in love. Now they cared about each other. They cared about each other. But love ain't had a damn thing to do with it.
I look back at our beginnings and it makes me appreciate her even more because she's been with me right through this whole stretch. She's helped me. She supported me. She pushed me. That's more romantic than just I don't know, butterflies in the stomach. Like what are people looking for? I don't understand it necessarily. Like, I would rather have a very, it could be a terrible looking car, but it's going to get me from point A to point B consistently, than to have a fantastic shining body and the engine in it is a trash and it breaks down and it puffs smoke and it's like, I believe I value functionality over appearance. It just so happens that we're nice looking.
Yeah, I know, and I think that's what throws people off because they're like, of course you guys can talk. Look at the both of you, and we get that. I understand. People are like, but we function well. We're a well-oiled machine. Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. How y'all doing?
Good. How are you?
I felt like being a comedian tonight.
What's on your mind?
But I am most nights. He can tell you I am most of the time.
Yeah.
You two are a very beautiful couple, very knowledgeable. I am very happy to hear from you tonight. It's made me feel very good. And it's been a very positive day. I'll say that. I will say that.
Yeah, that's the whole point of what we're doing, just trying to
bring a positive light.
we prior to getting together, we were both kind of in that same space. Like I'm not gonna lie about it, you know.
Right.
And that's just kind of the way it is sometimes. Is you just have to remain. Like I said, the biggest thing is, fellas, believe in what you want and go after that. Like it's out there. It's definitely out there. It's funny. The women used to say you got to kiss some frogs to find your prince, but now it's almost like the opposite. Like you got to kiss some toads to find your princess these days. You know, 'cause,
If they'll let you kiss.
yeah, if they'll let you kiss them, right? They might say, you know, you need to take them on a $400
The
date
date first.
Uh-huh. No, I ain't feeding you no flies yet. You got to be on the lily pad first.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right.
I love that. Thank you so much.
I come up with a few of them.
Uh-huh.
We really appreciate, because again, I think, what we talk about is changing the conversation around Black relationships, right? I think the narrative that's out there is not going to help us build communities, because for us, it's like better Black relationships mean better Black communities, but we need to start having the tough conversations. And the problem is
Yeah.
not having those difficult conversations. We're not talking about the things that to us really matter. I mean, if you went into a job interview and they sold you all the great things but didn't really tell you about the job, I don't think most people take that job and say, okay, tell me about the job. What do I have to do day in, day in, out about the job, right? Being in a
Hmm.
relationship is a job.
Yep.
A wife and a husband is a job. It's a duty. And I think people forget that part. And for us, it's like, no, let's talk about it. And what are you willing to do for that position? Because there's only one. So what are you willing to do to get it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think that society is teaching people how to, you know, deal with the job, but not how to deal with each other.
I
You
agree.
know, I had more of a better line for that, but
No, I agree with that. That's why you don't
it,
see people running up in the workplace talking about their feelings all the time. They know better. They
yeah,
will
yeah,
get fired for that. You know?
right, right. And I don't know. It's just that there's not a lot of, there's too much playing around. There's not enough focus on what people want as far as a relationship. And it's also like I said about the what was it? The asking what do you bring to the table? I don't even think people really know what what it is that it's the greatest saving grace that a man or a woman could answer. You know, you
Sex.
would know where that person wants to be.
Sex.
Huh?
It's
So
usually sex.
that's
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. If that's what you want,
sir.
at least you mentioned it up front. You
Hey,
said that that's what you want.
yeah.
But don't sit there across the table and saying you're sweet, loving, and honest and all caring, and then we get down 2 weeks down the road and it's nothing but sex,
fire
or
and
it's
brimstone.
a full, huh?
Fire and
Yeah.
brimstone.
But here's the thing, back to
You know?
the job relating it to the job. It's like
Mm.
you had to answer the question of what you bring to the table for every job you've ever had in your life.
For business mergers, isn't that what a marriage or relationship is?
Thank you.
That's
That's
what a
what this
job
That's why I'm like, I say that all the time. That I mean, the first lines that should come out of someone's mouth is what you want from this relationship. And if you can't say, well, all I want is sex, you got a problem because you don't recognize you have a problem, or that you don't aren't proud of that issue or whatnot. I'm not saying that you should be, but don't come to the relationship with lies. Come to it with what you want, you
Well,
know?
Self
yeah.
awareness is important.
And honestly, if what do you bring to the table and the answer is sex, then you're not really looking for a relationship.
Relationship.
You're looking for
Yeah,
friends with benefits. They have a term for that. It's called friends.
exactly. Exactly. But at least I'm not getting my hopes up or feelings into that relationship.
Yeah.
You know, that whole it is what it is. I mean, that's nice and that's cute, but it only goes but so far.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, but then also someone sitting there and saying, I think that's also another problem where some people are not wanting to answer the question is that if they answer that question, then they're responsible for the results at the end of it.
That
So
part.
if it ends and I don't understand this. Women shouldn't feel responsible if the relationship ends. Men shouldn't either. If it ends, it ends. My grandparents ended on a good note, and they took care of each other's family till the days they died. So why should I? Why should we? I don't need that. And if we're not even married and you want the relationship to end, even though at the beginning that's what you wanted to be, married to this person or try to be committed to this person, and didn't work out, walk away. You don't have to shame each other or be angry or whatnot. Leave.
I
Just leave. You know, just say it didn't work out. Well, let's, I like you, but let's just let this go.
and
You
why would
know,
you be with someone you had to keep a pistol on them for them to stay? Like it's like, look, if you want, I value you enough that if all of a sudden, well, or even over time, it's not that, then but I think you
That's
find
why we
that.
have a relationship.
That's why we
contract.
revisit those things so frequently. That's why we have those conversations so
This
often.
is why we have a
Is to
relationship.
make sure, like temperature checks, if
mm,
before it's too late, if there's something not going right with us, we want to know in a couple of weeks, not in a couple of years.
right, right, right,
Absolutely, temperature checks, right? Especially like we're experiencing a major change coming up. We've got to assess how that major change impacts both of us
everything.
individually and collectively. And do we need to make some changes moving forward for the next 18 to 24 months? And we have to agree that this is the direction that we're going in. But you're
right.
supposed to check-ins. It's like performance reviews. Imagine being on a job for 10 years and never getting a performance review.
Mm, mm.
Our relationship
Yeah,
contract is a performance review. It's a
yeah,
check.
over and over again. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to check in with each other
Yeah, you'll see that
because you just never know.
if you were like again, most people are taken aback, like, oh, you guys run your relationship like a business. If
It
you
is.
business runs in
The real
relationship, you'll see how much sense it makes. They don't
I
just
mean,
do stuff for no reason. They do it for a reason to keep the enterprise going and going and going. That's how you have some companies that are 250 years old because the principles that they run the company by last
mhm,
longer than the people working there.
facts.
like my family, they've been
Yeah.
around forever. They're huge.
Go.
A family function will be 30 plus, and a family reunion could be over 1,000.
There you
We
go.
don't
Wow.
play.
Because
We
Damn,
do not play.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
1,000.
yeah,
God
yeah.
damn.
No, no joke. We
Oh,
get
I
them.
believe you. I
We
believe
have a family reunion from 3 or 4 states.
you. God
It's
damn.
from New
That's
York
good.
to Virginia, maybe North Carolina.
I thought
We
my
don't play.
family reunion. I thought my family reunion was big. God damn.
y'all speak
Yo, we have to watch out. Going on dates and marrying someone
we don't
because what?
families
Let
went
me
in.
let me tell you a story. My aunt was on a corner waiting for a bus, and this nice guy that was standing there, she said he looked fine and everything, and they had a good conversation, been in similar places, and then all of a sudden they started talking about something and going to different places, and then he started asking, "Wait a minute, are you?" And they find out they're cousins that used to hang out when they were kids,
Oh,
direct cousins. So they ain't seen each other in years, and now you find out that's your direct cousin. You can't, for me, you can't just go out and see somebody. You got to talk to them. You have to find out who they are before
I
you even, who. So if I ask who's your family, who's this, where they from, I gotta ask first in this area. I gotta ask.
Because you're being intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. You're being intentional. That is what
right.
intentional dating is about. There should be, to me, I always said to him when we met, there is no question off limits. If you want to know the answer, ask me. I am either
Yeah,
going to answer or I'm not.
Right.
But I'm the type, again, my father grew me up in a way. He's like, listen, if you want to know something, you ask the question. And so I've always been a kid that was inquisitive, right? I constantly ask questions.
hmm. Well, Also, let me put the power in the women's hands now. Why don't they ask these other guys what did they bring to the table? I
Because
mean, it goes both ways.
look here, most women are honest about their situation, and they choose men based on sexual attraction, and then they want to try to get to know
Okay. I mean, if they don't answer the question right, they crash and bomb. But then again, that's some guys are gonna play by the rules. They're just gonna let things go as they are.
them.
I
It
do understand that.
it doesn't matter what the guys do because again, for these women, how many? That's why the theme of my dad's father don't do nothing. I'm
Right.
sure it wasn't like he was president of the U.S. and
Hmm.
then y'all had a kid and then he just quit his job and started sleeping on the couch all day. He was not
Right.
doing anything before you had his child. But
Right. Right.
it's too difficult to acknowledge that part of it. So it's just easier to just say, "Oh, that man is nothing." Like how many people genuinely take a stock on what they contributed to their failed relationships?
Because you're the common
Right.
denominator, right? And I've always said that we are the common denominator in all of our failed relationships. So it cannot be everybody else. But accountability is not something that is easy for people, right? Understand
Right.
that, I am an accumulation of all of my decisions, good, bad, and indifferent. But they were my decisions to make. And I have to deal
Right.
with the consequences of the decisions and the choices that I made. And that's how I've always lived my life, right? That's kind of how my father was very much like, you make this decision, you deal with the consequence of the decision. And if you want to change your circumstances, then make another decision. But that no one else is to blame, baby. You did it. And so,
Right.
having a father who very much he loved me, I'm one of those girls who's like, my daddy knows how to do it. Why don't you? Right? Like I am one of those. So my daddy also taught me accountability. And accountability was important in being able to assess things. So, I'm happy for that because it brought me to a place where I instilled that into my biological daughter and that I have stepchildren with Rob. And I'm instilling that in them. And that's what allows our relationship to flourish is I can take accountability. Like I was wrong, not my bad, whatever. I was wrong. I'm sorry. How do we make this better? One of the things, and
Exactly.
this is the last thing we're gonna say because we've got to head to dinner for his birthday. But
Oh,
I think one of the things that we need to start doing in relationships, it's easy to think that you're loving a person, but are you loving them in the way that they want to be loved? So one of the
Nah.
things that I started asking Rob was, how can I love you better? Because I
Mm.
might think I'm loving you in the best way possible, but he's not getting out of me, and vice versa, right? And because again, we have a show called Fuck Your Feelings, we also have moments where we have fuck your feelings conversation. We'll say this is about to be a fuck your feelings conversation. Even when we're in the worst place, Rob still holds me while we're having those discussions. And they're tough discussions a lot of the times to have, but the intimacy and the closeness and all of that, we are never the couple who's one's on the other side, the other one's on the other side, because we understand that that's not going to create the energy we want. So to have those discussions,
Exactly.
understanding that they might be tough, but we're going to get through them and we're going to ask questions and we're going to go down that road. And I think, again, when you care about, again, because love is selfless.
Hmm.
I can't love him selfishly. That means that I don't really need him because I'm loving him from a place that it doesn't matter how he wants to be loved. I'm going to love you this way. And that's what matters. And so it was one of the things where I was just like, how can I love you better? And I do that every once in a while just to make sure, like, are we, again, part of the relationship? Are we on track? Are things going the way that we want? But a lot of people found that weird that I did that because it was kind of like, people have made some like very interesting comments about our relationship, but for us, we know that we're provoking conversation because people are talking about it.
yep.
Right. Right. If they're not talking about you, you must not be doing anything right.
I say
Facts.
it all the time. Bring on the haters.
I didn't make that one up.
Bring them on.
Yeah, man.
But that
Yeah, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, finish. You finish.
No, I was just about to toot my own horn asking that girl what church she went to earlier at Walmart. Yeah, that
Oh, okay.
cashier.
Good one, though,
That's
bro.
a
The-
good. And what was her response?
Yo, she told me. She told me which church she went to. I'll even post that because the weight, all right, let me put it this way. There was a woman that came up the cash register with her child in the cart, um, and her boyfriend, her husband. She was cursing the whole time on the phone. I thought she was talking to her, but she wasn't. But she was quiet. She was poised. She didn't do, just did her job and kept it moving. And she was cute, more beautiful. That's fine. I can say that. But something told me, just ask her. You don't have to hit on her. Just ask her. Because if she's a real woman, I think that's the simplest way to find out. And she
Mhm.
told me that. I was like,
My,
yeah, yeah. She even told me she's been watching. She hadn't been to physically to church, but she's been watching online because COVID. I was like, hmm, you got a good mind on you. You got a
there
good mind on
you
That's a
go.
great question.
That is.
I recommend it.
I do
you.
too.
Yeah, it doesn't require
Sorry,
you hitting on her or anything. Just knowing where she's at, knowing where her head is at.
we have to wrap up, Lopez, because we left
Oh
dinner
yeah, yeah.
reservations for him. So
Yeah,
All right,
what y'all gonna do? Y'all going to dinner?
we're
Yeah,
going to
we're
this
gonna have some dinner.
hibachi teppanyaki. It's called Kobe.
hibachi grill.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
Oh,
called Kobe Japanese Steakhouse. It's not far from where we live. So instead of doing the whole Benihanas and something, we decided to try something. And I'm trying to introduce him more to sushi because I
Yeah.
love sushi and he doesn't. So trying to change
Yeah,
a little
Yeah, I love
bit.
I
that.
love the eel. Love the
yeah.
eel. Try the eel. Trust me with that eel
Well,
sauce, man.
thanks. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
Thank you
man. Thanks
so
for
much
having
for
us for
having
sure.
us. We really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah.
Well,
We'll
you
do
have a
this.
good one.
We'll do this again some other time.
Yes,
Definitely,
we're looking
definitely.
forward to
We
it.
love jumping on your platform.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.
Right.
Bye.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Shit. There you have it, man. They're cool
They
people.
were fun. They were fun. They were
Yeah.
fun to listen to. They were fun to talk to.
Yeah,
Very
I
lovely.
had them on before. I interviewed them
Mm,
like what 2 months ago? Or 2 months ago.
right, right,
Yeah,
right.
they're good people. That's why I brought them back on, you know.
Very, very loving people. You know, not into, how do I put it? It's like they're not into themselves, but into each other. That's what
Yeah,
is important.
yeah,
And I try to do that in relationships. My family does that in their relationships. It isn't going to be perfect, but it is going to exist. You're not trying to break someone within the relationship, and you can see that with them. And they deeply do that. That's the thing to look for. That is the thing to look for. And I'm glad for both of them. That's the type of stuff that some people try to break up, and I'm like, nah, I ain't having that. Let them be happy. You know, I like that. I really do. All right, well, I'm gonna keep from bothering you. You
yeah.
have,
I'm about to get up off here, brother. It's been good. It's
yeah,
been real. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Like what's his name from Florida? You got another one. You got another hit, brother. You have a good night.
Hold down, brother.
Another one.
Another one. I'm the real DJ Khaled. Hold it down,
All right.
man.
Good night.
Peace. There you have it. Another episode. Like, share the video. Don't forget to check out the Love Can't Wait podcast. And also hit the check out the Patreon. Check out the Patreon, man. Until next time, I'm out.